and welcome to the Unitarian Congregation of Westchester and our online worship service. My name is Kathy Beatty, and I'm a lay leader of the congregation. Our service topic today from our minister, Reverend Dan Schatz, is What's Next? I especially want to welcome any visitors to our online service this morning. We hope we will have the chance to get to know you. You can say hello in the comments or go to ucwc.org or send us an email if you'd like more information about our congregation, or if you'd like to be in touch with us directly. We hope that you will join us for the online social hour. The link and the password are in connections. We'll put them in the comments for this service and on the screen at the end of the service.
And come into the circle of love and hope. Breathe. Let yourself be for 1 hour in this community of kinship. We are glad you are here. I add my welcome to Kathy's as we enter into worship together.
Unitarian Universalism holds that great good comes from wide diversity. So, whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your heritage, and from wherever your beliefs spring, we are pleased that you are here. Let us walk a while together. Our announcements today are in connections and our online calendar of how to access our various online events. But we have a special reminder. It's just 2 weeks to our bread service. So on Saturday, the 21st of November, don't forget to stop by UCWC with your bread to share. It will be gathered there. And then the next day, we will have our curbside bread communion, which will be COVID safe and socially distant for picking up the bread. And don't forget, we do have a recipe exchange in a Padlet on the newsletter. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. And now, our chalice lighting words. This is from Maria Shriver's Sunday paper midweek. Maria is a veteran of many election cycles, being a lifelong Democrat and formerly married to a Republican. And she says, so today I'm thinking of all those who have won and all those who have lost. I thank them all for stepping into the arena. I'm thinking of their families who also go into the arena, whether they like it or not. So today, that's my intention. I'm going to look within. I'm going to work with the emotions that come up in me and around me about those who don't see what I see and don't feel what I feel. For those that didn't vote the way I voted, I'm going to work on asking those feelings to step aside, to make room for my higher self to take the lead.
Thank you, Kathy. Our opening hymn today has words adopted from 1 Corinthians, though I may speak with bravest fire. Please sing.
Striving so, my love profess, but not be given by love within. The prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
I invite you to join me in the words of our unison affirmation. We gather, aspiring to be a thriving, caring, and welcoming community that supports each person's spiritual journey, embraces diversity, challenges us to live responsibly, and is a catalyst for a just and compassionate world. And Cassie has a story for us this morning, a story for this particular week.
Hello everyone and welcome. Now is the time in our service where we invite our children and youth to join those who have gathered here together so we can hear a very special Time for All Ages message. This has been a rough week for some of us. Many of us have spent the past few weeks, in fact, dealing with worries and fears, as well as our hopes and our hard work to try to combat these worries. Even if you yourself haven't experienced these, you may have seen others who have, family members, friends, or you may have talked about them or heard about them at work, at school, even on the news. So today we're going to try to think about how we combat these worries. But as always, we wanted to begin with a nice deep breath in together. Ready? Let's listen to a story together. This is called The Worry Tree by Laura Wilkerson Spencer. The family had gathered at Grandma's house for their regular Sunday dinner. As usual, it was a lively gathering, with lots of talking, arguing, laughing, and joking. 8-year-old Sarah sat quietly next to her grandmother. She ate slowly. She looked around at her family, and she gave a big sigh. "What's the matter, sweetie?" Grandma asked. "You aren't yourself tonight." "I don't know," Sarah said. "Are you worried about something? You look worried." "Well, yesterday my friend Toby started playing with the new girl in class. What if she likes her better? And today Smokey, that's my cat, barfed all over the kitchen floor. What if he's sick? And this morning on the way to school, Dad was listening to the radio, and the news sounds really scary. I thought about Cousin Mike being a soldier. What if he gets hurt? By this time, some of the others had stopped talking and started listening to Sarah's worries. They all had worries of their own, and they wondered what Grandma would have to say. I know how you feel, Sarah. I was thinking about Mike myself. And yesterday, I got a letter from my friend Brenda. She's going to need a surgery on her eyes, and that sounds pretty scary to me. She looked around the table and noticed that everyone was listening now. I have a secret trick that helps me when I am worried. I turn to a special friend when my worries get in my way or make me feel bad. You see, I know that these worries don't help make things better. Holding on to my worries can keep me from making the most of each day. It can get in the way of me even doing something to help. What's your secret trick? Who's your special friend? Asked Sarah. Grandma got up from the table and opened a drawer. She pulled out a pad of paper and some pens. Then she began to explain. When my worries are bothering me, I sit down and I write them on a piece of paper. Sometimes I write just a word or two, and other times I write and I write until all the worries are poured out onto the paper. Then I take a walk out to the backyard. You know that big tree way in the back corner? Grandpa planted that tree when we first moved. I call it Grandfather Tree. Well, Grandfather Tree has a hole in it, so I take my worries and I put them right there in the hole. I tell them that I don't want to carry them around anymore. It doesn't mean that I don't care about Brenda or Mike. It doesn't mean that what's happening on the news isn't still scary or important. It just means I'm not as weighed down right now. It makes me have the energy to be able to call Brenda or write a letter to Mike. It means I'm ready to go on doing what I need to do to be your grandma, to have you all over for dinner. She gave Sarah a little hug. Do you want to try? Yes, I do, Sarah replied. I want to try. Me too, said the others. Grandma passed around the pad of paper, and each person took a piece. Soon everyone was writing. After dinner, while they were waiting for their stomachs to make room for dessert, they all took a walk out to Grandfather Tree. Grandfather, please hold my worries for me, said Sarah. I need some help today. Then she dropped her paper in the hole, and the others did the same. They all stood there for a few moments looking at the tree, each one asking the tree to silently hold their worries. As they walked back to the house, they all felt lighter. They stood straighter. They were ready to go ahead into the next day, better prepared for whatever the world will come.
Thank you, Cassie. Well, our congregation depends on the generosity of our members and our friends. It's very easy to give. We hope that you will give. We hope that you'll give on the web or by PayPal. If you have the PayPal app on your phone, you can just hold your phone's camera up to the QR code that will be on the screen in just a minute. It'll take you right there. I hope that if you're able, you will use those services or consider sending a check. Or add something to what you pay for a pledge each month while we are in this online situation. So thank you very much for all of your generosity that you, in so many ways that you give to our congregation and to the community. We'll now receive our morning offering. For these gifts and for all that we give in so many ways to all of our communities. We are truly grateful. My first reading today is from a Jamaican-American Unitarian minister from a long time ago, a man named Egbert Ethelred Brown. And it's a brief excerpt from one of his prayers. He said, "As we pray for peace in our time, O God, may we be at peace with the world, with ourselves, and with thee. May we know that without love, there will never be peace. Teach us, therefore, to love. What does this world need more than love?" My second reading is from Joseph Cherry, who writes, "If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and each other. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving." And my third reading is one that I keep coming back to over the years, ever since I began the path of ministry. It's from the humanist poet Edwin Markham. It is simply this: "He made a circle that shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We made a circle that drew him in." I invite you to sing one more step.
One more step, we will take one more step
So how was your week? I'll be honest, mine was a little tense. I didn't sleep as much as usual. I had trouble concentrating. For days, I kept hearing, one more vote. We will count one more vote, going round and round in my head. I mean, till every vote is wrote and in the tote. I was getting punchy. I tried limiting my TV news diet, but that didn't stop me from obsessively checking post-election coverage online, and it has been a roller coaster of emotion. I'm imagining some of you can probably identify. So when I sat down to start writing on Wednesday, and then again on Thursday, and Friday, and on into Saturday, I kept coming back to my chosen sermon title, Now What? And seriously, this is what I came up with a month ago when I had to pick a title for this service. Now what? And I thought, did I have to be quite so prescient? It was worse than that too, because when I chose that title, I had forgotten that 2 years ago, I also preached a sermon called Now What? Which meant that now I had to make a new file name on my computer. So every time I went back to writing, over this crazy, crazy roller coaster week, I opened a file called Now What 2020. My wife says that would have been a better sermon title anyway. But looking for solace, as I often do, I turned to the Tao Te Ching. It's one of my scriptures of choice, and it's a good place to go if you're feeling anxious. I opened the book at random. The highest good, it said, is like water. Water gives life to the 10,000 things and does not strive. It flows in places people reject, and so is like the Tao. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. In ruling, be just. In business, be competent. In action, watch the timing. I looked at that passage and I sat there wondering how a 2,500-year-old Chinese mystic could understand quite so well the needs of a 48-year-old Pennsylvania minister in the aftermath of the 2020 elections. It really was just what I needed. And it's pretty good advice for a new president, too. And like any good scripture, that passage can mean a lot of different things to different people and at different times. The highest good is like water. I started out thinking about my personal need to let go of anxiety, take whatever happens as happened, and work from there. Be like water, taking the shape of the space that it's given. That's pretty much the message I was looking for when I opened the book to begin with. Then I went deeper. And there it was. Water flows in the places people reject. I thought about that. I thought about the places people have rejected. I thought about understanding, forgiveness, respect for human worth. I thought about the way so many people have rejected the human rights of immigrants, of children, of women, of gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender folk. I also thought about the way so many people have rejected the real lived experiences of people in Appalachia and in the deep Midwest, and people with less education, and people whose jobs are going away, whose lives are changing, and who are afraid they're being left behind. The highest good is like water. Water gives life to the 10,000 things and does not strive. It flows in places people reject, and so is like the Tao. I also thought about all the striving so many of us have been doing and that we still need to do because we care and because these things are important. I thought about immigrant justice and Black Lives Matter and LGBT rights and reproductive rights and voting rights. I thought about John Lewis and the need for good trouble. I thought about how in the last 4 years, many of us have spent more time up at the Chester County Courthouse than anyone without a law degree should ever have to spend. And we need to keep it up. But the highest good is like water, which flows in the places people reject. This is a divisive age. And hurtful rhetoric has come from all sides. Too often we have confused ideas with people, rejecting, belittling, or ridiculing others because of where they live, or how they live, or what religion they espouse, or who they vote for. It's an easy trap to fall into because honestly, some people are out there trolling. They're intending to provoke that kind of reaction. And when I know that the rights of people I love are in danger, it's hard to have a civil conversation with those who would eliminate those rights. But the highest good is like water, which flows into the places people reject. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. We can do both of these things. We can speak truth and we can be kind even to those with whom we disagree. That's what allowed John Lewis and Dr. King to accomplish so much. They never once dismissed the humanity of those who oppressed them. They were moved by a higher love and planned every action to highlight that humanity and bring it into sharp contrast with the inhumanity of racial injustice. We can speak truth boldly, and we can be kind. And if we do these things together, maybe we can also begin to bridge some of what divides. If we do these things together, maybe life-giving water will begin to flow into the places people have rejected. Remember 5 years ago? June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage across the country. In the oral arguments for that case, I remember one of the justices saying to the plaintiffs suing for marriage equality that people seem to be falling all over each other to come to their side. I remember that. I remember that happening. I remember how quickly it seemed to be happening. There was good organizing behind a lot of that, but what really made the difference was that more and more politicians and public figures realized someone they loved was gay or lesbian. It happened over and over. People said openly, I've changed my mind because my child is gay and I love my child. That love was more important to them than their political platforms or even their political futures. Love is what flowed into the places people had rejected. Love entered the closed-off rooms in so many hearts. So here's what I'm not saying. I'm not telling you to go love a Nazi. I'm not saying we should accept or make peace with what is unacceptable, or that people shouldn't be held accountable for the harm they do. That includes fascism, racism, violence, ecological destruction, sexism in all its forms. I'm not saying it's time to just accept all that. I'm not saying you have to forgive it, and I'm certainly not saying that you should forget it. We must never forget what has happened in this country. Nor am I saying we shouldn't hold people accountable for the harm they do through their actions, including their rhetoric, or that somehow we should just back off from the struggle or quiet our voice for justice. I believe the world needs our Unitarian Universalist voice now more than it ever has. But we can't go through life despising millions of people. It's bad for the soul, it's bad for the heart, and frankly, it's bad for the cause. And I don't want to live that way. Who would want to live that way? Here's what I am saying. Bring love to bear. Bring it to bear. Carry it with you. Let it guide you. Become it. Love, like water, flows into the places people reject and gives life to the 10,000 things. I honestly believe in the depth of my heart, this is what Unitarian Universalism calls us to in this moment. Bring love to bear. I'm not talking about affection. I'm not talking about what Dr. King called emotional bosh. I'm talking about that fierce and determined love that lifts humanity. I'm talking about what Gandhi called soul force. I'm talking about a love that is sacred and transcends human emotion. If you believe that God is love, think of it that way and bring the God that is love to bear. If you believe in inherent worth and dignity, think of it that way and bring it to bear. Bring love to bear. It's hard. I know it's hard, and it isn't necessarily fair. Some of us have been hurt and badly. Some of us have good reason to be angry, and we should be, we can be, but we can be angry and still bring love to bear. I think we have to, because honestly, the healing has to begin somewhere. Maybe it shouldn't be our responsibility, but somebody has to do it. We are here, and this is what we've always done. When the old Universalists preached the gospel of creating heaven on earth, we brought love to bear. When that great Unitarian who I've mentioned so often this election season, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, spoke of one great bundle of humanity, even as she suffered from multiple injustices, she brought love to bear. When a reporter asked Reverend William Sinkford, then the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, where we stood on marriage equality, and he said, "We stand on the side of love." Well, he brought love to bear. It isn't easy, I know. The highest ideals seldom are, but I promise you this, it is rewarding for the soul. And in the long run, it is the most effective way forward for justice. So, now what, 2020? What do we do right now? What do we do in the aftermath of this messy election, in the midst of this still rising pandemic, in the stress and loneliness so many of us are feeling as we come to the holidays? Now what? This is what I hope you'll do. Give love. Work for justice. Be good to the people around you, whether they are friends or strangers. Give some love to the people working at the stores and the people working in the schools and the people working alongside you. Don't let the social distance and the mask stop the caring. Bring compassion. Bring compassion even for those you will never understand. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. In ruling, be just. In business, be competent. In action, watch the timing. And bring love to bear. One of the ways we bring love to bear in our congregation is by honoring the sorrows and joys in our lives. As we move into this part of our service, I invite you to sing a song I think we very much need right now. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Good morning. I am Eliane Khan, a member of the pastoral care team. This morning, I will be sharing the cards of concern for Carrie Sandler. Carrie Sandler is our monthly contact person, should you have a need to contact her. We have a card of concern from a member who asks for prayers for a good outcome for an aunt in Minneapolis who is having serious health problems. We also have a card of sorrow in memory of Reverend Bob Throne, a close colleague and good friend who died this week from COVID-19, of gratitude for the care he received and the love which surrounded him, and of celebration of the life of a stalwart Unitarian Universalist, a crusader for racial justice and lover of life. And as always, we light a candle for those unspoken joys, sorrows, and concerns. Thank
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
I invite you to enter with me into the sacred space, which is known by many names, and among these is meditation, and among these is prayer, beginning with a few moments in the community of quietness. Holy love, fill us with your balm. In the anxiety of this time, the troubles of our lives, and the division of a nation, help us find peacefulness, compassion, and unity. As we honor veterans this week, remind us of the sacrifices made on our behalf by those who acted without political agenda, but with dedication for the ideals of this country. As we struggle through the pandemic, give us compassion for one another in the fear we all experience, and help us respond by caring for others with the precautions we take, the patience we give, and the forgiveness we share. In a time of national transition, teach us that we are better than our worst impulses. Help us to bridge division, transcend violence, and overcome hatred. Be with those who are grieving today, who are afraid of the coming years, and also be with those who are celebrating and relieved. Open all our hearts that we may understand one another's struggles and joys and fears. Be with those who are leaving office, and be with those who will lead us through the next 4 years, so that we may have a smooth and peaceful transfer of power. Holy love, fill us with your balm and guide us this night and onwards. Amen. Blessed be. Please sing, "Love Will Guide Us." We close with words from Stephen Mead, a UU religious educator. Together, in our every moment and by our every act, we welcome the stranger, comfort the afflicted, teach the ignorant, soothe the angry, uplift the community, give voice to the forgotten, heal the broken, and serve with compassion and respect. Go in peace.